Hello, hello, hello. We are making a video. It's extremely dark, but that is all I can do right now. I have a grounding pillow now, which worked really well last night. It's absolutely amazing. I have my head on this grounding band right now, and it feels incredible. It keeps you grounded to the earth grounding energy. This is true. It's a ground, like a ground wire grounding form of electricity. It's an electric current that is the Mother Earth electric current, and that is what the ground wire is. So ground wire is what grounds your electric plug to the earth. And they have pillows and pillowcases and other things like this band here that I have that attach to a cord, and the cord has a ground plug, and that ground plug plugs into an electric outlet, into an electric extension cord's ground plug. Okay, and so that's what's plugged up, and then the other end of the extension cord is hooked up to a ground metal that is attached to the earth ground. Okay, so, and that's routed all the way through the hallway and into the bathroom. And it works. It works really, really, really well. I slept 12 hours non-stop. I only had to go to the bathroom 2 times. And each time I went back to bed, even though when I go to the bathroom, after that I drink water. I drink about a cup of water. I go back to bed, and normally it takes me a long time to fall back to sleep, fall asleep again. So it takes me a long time to fall asleep in general, particularly when I first go to sleep. Usually it took me 2 hours or something on average to fall asleep, or to feel the heaviness of the brain. That's what you feel before you fall asleep. So to even get to this heaviness, it would take me 2 hours normally, and my brain is spinning and racing 1,000 miles per hour, and with racing thoughts, with terror thoughts, with brain terror, with catastrophizing, all kinds of things, all the time. That has to do with trauma and all of that. It's very complex. There are many things that add to this. Also, the world situation with human trafficking. This is a real serious problem that causes my brain to race. I'm very worried. I'm worried about the pigs and gestation crates. These are the things that are on my mind all the time. Okay, constantly thinking about this. How do we solve this? What needs to be done to solve this? And then what can I do as an individual person to solve this? But with this ground wire now, this is amazing what that does to your brain. It completely calms down your entire endocrinology. It calms down your nervous system. It calms down your thoughts. And this is obviously, there is not just one thing that you do to make it better. Each of the holistic modalities is extremely important. Each one of those. Like becoming a whole food vegan. Extremely important. Okay. Drinking a lot of water, drinking a lot of herbal tea. Making whole food vegan smoothies. Quitting white sugar was huge for me. So the fingernail fungus is gone now. Okay, candida is gone, all of that. I struggled with that for many, many, many years, for most of my life. So just quitting white sugar. Okay, so and then quitting chocolate, quitting candy, I quit coffee a long time ago. I quit alcohol when I was in my 20s. I quit alcohol and cigarettes when I was 25. So I've been sober ever since. And I'm gonna be 60 in just a few days. I made it. All that. I made it. I'm almost 60. I made it that far. Can you imagine? I made it that far. So usually people go like, oh, that's so awful. 60. Most women cry when they be when most women, they cry their eyes out on their birthday when they become 60. It's such a package, you know. It's such a vicious. This is such a this is such a dreadful number, isn't it? 60, man. Oh man. So Pam Bondi is my age. She's 59 too. So I don't know when her birthday is. She might be a few months younger than me. I don't know. But my birthday is approaching March 31st. It's gonna be that big 60. But I won't be here. I'll be at the other house. Thank goodness. I don't even want to make a video about that. But no, but because I get bullied and all of that. But I don't even care. Whatever. I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my health. That's what matters. Okay, I love myself. Now with this here, I can sleep for 12 hours and then I look like 25 again. That is so, oh my gosh, that is so incredible. If you do all of these things that I recommend to people, if you do all of these 100 steps of holistic healing, if you do all of these things, they're literally 100 steps, then you will look like 25 in about a year. I'm not kidding. This is the truth. I mean, you can do all of this. This is the truth. I'm laughing now, but because I'm giddy. But you can, if you hold crystals in your hands. Most people they laugh about me. They say this is just hippie craziness or something. No, it's not. The energy in a crystal. I wish I had brought my crystal here. If you hold a crystal in your hand like this, that helps, and also helped me to fall asleep even without the ground wire. I've done that a few times too, but then what happens? Usually the rock ends up falling on the floor, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want that. I love all of my rocks. I don't want them to fall on the floor and hit onto the wood floor and all of that. So they're very, very strong, so they don't get damaged, but I still don't want them falling on the floor. But when I fall asleep, obviously the rock falls out of my hand and then it ends up falling on the floor. So, but if you hold a crystal in your hand, a rock, you can feel the energy in that rock. That's crystal healing, okay? And you fall asleep 10 times faster than than normal, than when you don't, if you don't do any of this. So if you're not grounded, and if you're not, if you're whatever, if you have anxiety and all of this, it takes you much longer. So the crystal helps to fall asleep, and there's a whole range of holistic healing modalities. This ground wire here, this is phenomenal, okay? People have healed all kinds of health problems just by being grounded when they go to sleep at night. So you can buy pillowcases that are grounding pillowcases that have on the side, they have a little plug where the ground wire gets attached to it, and on the other end of that ground wire cord, it plugs into an extension cord or into a ground plug in the wall, as long as that ground plug of the wall also is connected to the earth ground. Okay, and with this one we made sure that we found a place where we attached it to a grounding metal that is grounded into the earth, and it really, really works. So this is a real steady, amazing energy, like the energy that you feel in a pond, or if you sit on grass outside, that same energy. So you can literally bring that into your house and into your bed, and it's wonderful. So if you want to spend a lot of money on it, you can go to that store, the Earthing store. I think it's called Earthing, and that is the guy that came up with this originally. He healed everything. He had some real serious inflammation in his body because he grew up in Alaska, and they were always playing outside, the kids, and he was outside a lot. And then he moved to California, and he worked for television, and he was really involved with this, doing a lot of office working on the computer. And he was no longer grounded, and because he grew up being used to being grounded, that's particularly intense. So if you switch from being grounded a lot and being healthy, then you go into an office building and you're not grounded, and you sleep in a bed that's not grounded, or in a high-rise building even, then you don't have that ground energy going through your body, and that's really, really serious. That can cause a lot of problems. So he got very sick, and the doctors didn't know what it was, and he figured it out on his own, and he created this company, and he never thought he was going to create a company. And so he has this earthing company where he's selling this grounding equipment, and this amazing. Obviously, we can't spend a lot of money on stuff, so we have to save money wherever we can, and we have to get imitation stuff that and he didn't patent his things, so thank you for that. He's an amazing guy. And so other companies were able to replicate it and sell it, and there are many different companies that are selling it for a very good price, and their products are very, very good too, like this one here. But I'm sure that his earthing products are very, very, very amazing, and they're most likely the best of all. That's what I think, because he has like copper thread, that copper threaded pillowcases and copper threaded pads, yoga mats, and also fitted sheets, so that then you have your whole body on it. And for us it wouldn't even work so much because we basically sleep like a moon astronaut. I mean, I sleep in this puffer jacket here. I have puffer pants on and long underwear with like jogging pants and all of that underneath. So I don't know if that would even attach to where the ground would go through this. But I have my head, I have the side of my face on this ground wire here on the pillow, so that's the best solution. And Paul has a whole pillowcase also that came with the same package that he's going to use at the other house. He's going to try that out. I think that's going to help him a lot. A grounding pillowcase with a ground plug. I just hope that this is not made with any kind of toxic metals. I hope that this is made with actual silver. So they say that it contains silver. So I hope it's just silver and not aluminum or other things in it. So, but yeah, I take their word for it. I don't know what else to do, but I needed this, and it works. So, and that's awesome. That's fantastic. I'm infinitely grateful to that guy that set that up originally, the earthing store, and then the other people followed into his footsteps. It's fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful. That's a lifesaver for a lot of us. And there are many movies, documentary films out there that you can watch. That's the title, Earthing. And different people have made documentary films about it and explained how incredibly powerful it is to sleep with the connection to the earth, with that ground connection. Very, very important for your health. But then also going whole food, vegan, drinking a lot of herbal teas, all of this is important. Almost feels like making this video like those people that those people that sit in a chair in a dark room where you can't see their faces. But in my case, I don't know. I'm not hiding my identity or anything. It's just dark in here in this room because Paul wants to keep this. I wanted him to turn the other light on, but he didn't want to turn it on. It's okay. What matters is what I'm talking about. That matters more than seeing someone's face. So, but my artwork looks nice. Looks very good. I don't know if it shows. My artwork shows the disco light. Very, very pretty. I like it. It's gorgeous. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about all of these important things because I think it's very important. Also, red light. Having red light on at night. This disco light has a lot of red lights in it. It has different colors, blue and green and orange and yellow and red and purple. Many different rainbow colors in this disco light, which is very nice, but it seems it has a very ambient red glow, which is very, very good for your health. To look at red lights, very, very healing. Okay, you can even buy red LED lights that in all kinds of sizes, and LED lamps and LED light wall covers and all kinds of things where you can put them on in your entire room, and that lights up in red lights, and it's like glowing, and it's very, very healing for the nervous system and for your eyes. So people figured all of that out. It's very, very healing to have. He has the red lamp over there that is on also. You can see it there. That red lamp is on. And that's very, very good for your nervous system. Very healing for the entire endocrinology. So there are probably 100 or even more modalities for holistic living, holistic healing, and I can't list it all now, but definitely important to have an animal in bed with you. So baby dog sleeping next to me here under the sleeping bag. Very important to have an animal in bed with you, and loving and petting animal, kissing with the animal. Very important. Okay. It's important for the animal. It's important for you. Okay, for your healing, for the animal's healing and your healing. Also, to have your house clean. Okay, very, very important. Grow your own food. Very important. That's really extra great if you can do it. So we're aiming towards that. So we're gonna sell the other house. It's gonna be happening now within the next couple of months. And we're going back into the desert. I'm not allowed to say where, but there are several properties that we need to see that I have found on the internet. Several of them that are very reasonably priced, and if we can save money, the more money we can save, the better we will be doing for our retirement, of course. It's all about gearing towards retirement and having a decent retirement. Okay, so that's what we're aiming towards, and it is smart to save money wherever you can. Yeah, save money without depriving yourself of anything, I just did an OCD ritual. Yeah, but it's gotten better with the OCD. It's gotten a whole lot better. So, whole lot better. I have to always remind myself of my history of mental illness, which was extreme, absolutely extreme. It was so extreme I could not possibly make a video like this. I mean, this is a humongous curve in a coordinate system of healing that I have an enormous upward curve of healing. I have come from really absolute, from the very lower corner of the coordinate system. That's where I started out, with extreme horror, anxiety, suicidal. I mean, it was intense. Anger attacks and fights and confusion about existence. I can talk about this for the rest of my life. What I've been through. Suicide attempts. I mean, it was so extreme, the mental illness, when I was 13. I was completely batshit insane. I mean, like, completely. I had body dysmorphic disorder when I was 30. I thought I was too tall, which is it's just absolute insane. Everyone else said that's good if you're gonna be 5'9", and I always knew I was gonna be 5'9". And when I was 13, I wasn't 5'9" yet. I was like 5'5". I already felt way too tall. And I said, I don't want to become 5'9", but then I became 5'9", of course, at age 14 and 15. So, and I didn't want to. I want because I had this idea that I needed to be a little chubby boy. This was this idea, and not because of gender dysmorphia or gender or whatever, body, or how do they call this, gender uneasiness or something, dysmorphia or something like that. So it was not because I wanted to, I was unhappy with my gender. I never questioned that, and I never thought that was wrong. The reason why I wanted to look like, I wanted to make myself wanted to decorate myself, not in terms of changing my gender. Or I didn't want to have a penis or something, or I didn't want to cut my breasts off. But what I did was, I wore clothes that kind of pressed my breasts up like that. So I wanted, I kind of like wanted to look like a baby, a chubby baby. And what that tells me is that I was absolutely psychologically not ready to be a woman, but my body looked more than a woman. I mean, like, I was developing really rapidly, and so at 13 I was fully developed and with large breasts, and hips and everything, and I felt extremely scared, and I felt so uncomfortable about males looking and all of that. I felt threatened, and I was like a child still. It was really, really, really bad. So, and then also trauma, and then who knows what kind of trauma I've already been through at a very early age, because I know this because of the paintings I've painted when I was a child. So psychologically I was not a woman, I was a child. And physically I was a fully developed woman. And so I wanted to make myself, I wasn't against being a woman, but I was afraid of being looked at. I was afraid of not being a child anymore. So it was very, very weird phase. And so I wanted to dress like a little boy, and I wanted my hair to be like a little boy, I wanted to talk like a little boy. I didn't want boys to look at me. I didn't want men to look at me particularly. That was real scary. That happened a few times. My dad took me into a sauna, into a public sauna. There was a man who, like, right in front of me had a heart on, in front of all of these people, and he was staring and staring at me. And I felt so incredibly uncomfortable about that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was scary. So, and every time we had to take our clothes off, every time it was like, now was the time to wear a bikini or a swimsuit, And it's like I dreaded, absolutely dreaded it. I wanted to hide myself on a vacation. I mean, wherever we went, there were males staring everywhere, in every corner, through fences, and this went on my entire life. This went on like this. Even here in this garden, I thought the fence was so dense that there's no way anyone would look through, and I was taking a shower in the garden sometimes because I like that, being grounded, taking a shower in the garden with warm water also. And then I would hear noises, and I can see there's a guy on the other side of the fence peeping through, and it sucked. I don't feel comfortable about that at all. It made me feel so incredibly uncomfortable, and I had to weigh off what's more important, the grounding or that peeping Tom. So I decided the grounding is more important. But these peeping Toms, they kept on coming. Oh man, that was really literally. Oh no, I felt so uncomfortable. And then men, they probably think, oh, because they project, and they think that, oh, women, they like it, and it must be nice, or they think if they sexually harass a woman, she must like it or something. No, most women do not feel comfortable about this, about uninvited approaches and stuff like this. So they do not feel comfortable about this. Women need to feel safe. They need to feel like they're in control of the situation. And that's how I feel. I like to be in charge and in control of the situation. I don't want to go into a store and then have a bunch of boys come over and snicker and poke me and do all kinds of things. It's been going on and on and on and on and on and on. That does not feel good. And then I feel laughed about, and harassed and all of this. I mean, in LA it was really bad. They would come up to me and they would bounce around on my back and stuff like that. And then if I turn around, they quickly scream. They scream and run away. Oh man. Oh man, oh man. It went on and on and on, over and over. And I didn't feel comfortable about this. And at the same time, my mother or any kind of female around me would always try to keep my self-esteem low. They would always try real hard, but I think it's also very unconscious. While I compliment women don't compliment me. Okay, so they want my self-esteem to be low, and That's very sad. I know Billie Eilish would never do that. She never keep someone's self-esteem low. That's because she's an advanced soul. So, and I'm a mother. I'm a mother bear. I'm a dog mom. I would never want anyone to have low self-esteem. Nobody. I don't want an asshole to have low self-esteem either. What's the point? So a lot of people are assholes because they have low self-esteem, really. And it's just an act out to make themselves feel like they feel good about themselves a lot of times. But they really don't. So all of these things that are going through my mind, all of that. And then I also want to talk about something I've been wanting to talk about is there are some stories in the Bible that are telling us straight on that the Bible is a mind control medium. It is a mind control modality, and it was created for mind control. Obviously there are different stories in it that are, some of them are very old, but not all of the stories are probably authentic stories that happened. A lot of it is, I think a lot of those stories come from an authentic source of some sort. And some of those may also be just stories in order to mind control the public. For example, here's a story that I think was just created for mind control. The story, let's start with this, a story of harm that Derek Jensen pointed out in one of his books, which I think is important that he pointed that out. And that shows us how much the Bible is mind control modality. Where Ham was drunk and he was passing out on his bed, and his son came into his room asking him how he was doing, and he saw his father drunk on the bed, incapacitated. And the son felt bad for the dad, and he left the room. He didn't want to humiliate his dad, so he left and went back out and let his dad cure out the alcohol and sleep it out. And then some kind of God voice, which I think this is all made up, some kind of God voice or God inner voice said to the son, now you're going to suffer for eternity in hell or something, because you have seen your dad in that kind of incapacitated state, and you should not have seen your dad in that kind of vulnerable, incapacitated state that gave away how weak he was, or mentally weak, that he drank alcohol. So you should not have seen that as his son. And so the message of the story is kind of like, whatever your parents do, they're like immune from the law. They're like, it doesn't matter. Whatever, if it's your parents or your authority figure, if they drink and do human trafficking, then you're not even allowed to see that, because even if you see it accidentally, you're not allowed to say anything, and then you're not even allowed to see it, because if you see it, then you go to hell or something. So the message is, you better never question, or you better never look behind anyone's shoulder, or you never even make sure that everything is in order. You just put blind faith into everyone, and even if things go bad, you never question them or look into the situation. That is mind control in the Bible. Okay. To tell the public, to threaten the public, it's like extortion, psychological extortion, to threaten the public into thinking they can never question, they can never investigate, they are never allowed to see behind the facade, they're never allowed to look over anyone's shoulder, they're never allowed to interrogate anyone or make sure things are in order. They need to have blind faith in the criminals, and so on and on and on. That's mind control. That is causing people learned helplessness. That is causing people to feel not powerful, to feel unempowered, to feel like they have to always surrender their will and their faith and everything onto someone else who is abusing this type of power. So that's the mind control of the Bible. Okay. That's really serious. Really, really serious. And then there are stories in the Bible that are... There's an ant here. I'm sorry, ant, but I can't have ants here. There are stories in the Bible that talk about angels, and some of those stories are true. I would say all of them. And what are those angels? Okay. That people need to really understand this now. What are angels? They are extraterrestrials. Okay. This is the truth. I know this to be 100% true. Why are they depicted with wings? Because they had anti-gravitational technology that lifted them up into the air. So the wing of a bird is the symbol of being airborne. That's why it's kind of like more like a pictogram. It's more like a language, sort of, to give a figure wings, give a humanoid figure wings, means it's a symbolism. It means that being has the ability to lift up into the air with some kind of propeller or some kind of drone technology, or with other anti-gravitational technology. And this is very crystal clear to me. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky pointed all of this out in The Secret Doctrine. It is absolutely eye-opening. What is the Garden Eden? We were told there was this in the beginning, right? First of all, there was never a beginning. There can never be a beginning. Everything's just a gradual evolution. So, but the reason why a lot of people, and I didn't understand that in the past, and a lot of people said, but the human evolution was not that gradual. And the only reason for that is because when they did this Garden Eden project, there were ETs that landed in different parts of the earth, and they took native prehistoric humans that had a big, big, big jaw, like a monkey. They took those. They were almost like pre-verbal. They were making sounds and stuff, but it was not a very sophisticated language. They did some cave drawings, some very, very primitive cave paintings. Those of the very prehistoric ones are the ones that put ashes over their hand on the wall, and on the wall of the rock, and then they took the hand off, and you can see that the hand impression was still on there. So those, I believe, were the very, very prehistoric humans that did these kind of things. The very first experimentation with decoration and with symbolism, and that's when language was in its most primitive stage, right? Also in verbal expression, very rudimentary verbal, like pa, for example. Pa is a very prehistoric Native American expression for water. Pa. It's a phonetic. It's something that sounds like, you just put water on your face. Pa, like this. So that's like pa tempe means hot water. Or pa rump. Pa is the water, rump is the rock. Grump is like, I can hit my foot on it. That's a big rock there. So these are like the very original words have a phonetic, have an emotional expression of voice that has evolved, that has just instinctually evolved like this. And it's interesting to observe that there are synchronicities of this development among ancient prehistoric humans around the whole planet with quite similar phonetic emotional expressions of the material in their surroundings, that they give this phonetic expression as a symbol to, like pa, the water, or rump, the rock, or tempe is warm. Tempe, something that just that started to happen like this because of an emotional expression of voice. So that's how language evolved, and that was language in its most original state. And they were not very evolved, and would have taken a lot longer for these original humans to come to a state where they are actually able to create complex language and abstract thinking, real abstract thinking about past and future, and what would happen if we do this, and complex technological thinking, would have taken much longer to evolve. These things, that goes slow, but the reason why it started to happen very quickly, the curve was like this, and then the ETs came, and Garden Eden project went like this, in cognitive abilities. And why is that? The brain mass much larger suddenly. a lot of scientists want to bury their head in the ground because they don't want to acknowledge it, or they will say, oh yeah, that's just they'll attribute other variables into it and say, oh, it's caused by this or that situation, or it was necessary. But yeah, it's necessary to be smarter to survive this or that situation. So the smarter ones survived in the colder climates and so on, but not to this drastic incline on the coordinates. That was not caused by survival of the fittest, this drastic incline. It would have taken much longer to get there through just survival of the fittest. It would have gotten there eventually, but not that fast. So the ETs came, they did gene splicing project, that is the Garden Eden project, okay, and they took prehistoric humans and they wanted to mix their DNA into the prehistoric human DNA, because those were ETs that had left their planet, probably because of a difficult situation. Maybe they have depleted their resources, maybe something went wrong, and they were looking for another planet so they could colonize there. And they did, and we carry their DNA. Okay, so the original ETs, the crew, they're our ancestors. Okay, at some point, and they mixed their DNA, and through gene splicing, it would not have happened through natural mating, because they're completely different species. Okay. Completely different species don't mate, and if they try to mate, they're not giving offspring, okay, because the female body doesn't recognize the sperm of another species as a sperm. Okay, I would be very surprised if that ever happened. And I'm not going to rule it out. What if suddenly that happens, right? Where it naturally by itself recognizes, oh, like horse sperm in me, and then recognized, oh, that's sperm. Yeah. So let's use it. Or the egg recognizes it and brings it into the egg, and then have a cell division happening. This is, I think, I'm not going to rule it out, but it is extremely unlikely that this happens. Okay, so, and if there are male sperm in a female horse, I've said it before many times, it causes the female horse body to go into a toxic shock. If that happens enough times, and there was a guy who did this on a regular basis, and suddenly the horse fell over dead, and he had no idea why. She suddenly dropped dead, literally dropped dead, and he could not understand why. Her body went into a toxic shock, and it caused her vital signs to stop. Very bad, okay? Because her body did not recognize that his sperm as the natural mating process, that's the sperm that is supposed to go into the egg. It viewed the sperm as a toxic, as a pathogen, actually, as an invading pathogen, like a virus or a parasite or a bacterium that's not supposed to be in the body. Okay, so and the body would constantly be, the fighter cells constantly be going over there and trying to get rid of this and trying to kill all of these sperms and fight with them and dismantle them and all of that. Constant inner war of the immune system fighting against it, fighting for its life. And one time, if it happens one time, the body can take care of it. But if it happens on an ongoing basis, no, that's too much. The immune system gets completely overworked and overloaded, and that's what causes toxic shock syndrome, and the individual can die from that. Very, very horrific. Never do something like this, please. People probably think this is a crazy video, and how can I even talk about this? Why would put the headphones on? Headphones. And can you put the headphones on, please? I'm making a video, and I told you. So, oh man, this is so annoying. So, people think, why would I even talk about this? One should not talk about these things. That's too crazy. No, this is such a common thing that happens. But you don't know about it because these people, these motherfucks, don't talk about it. There's like less than 1% of people that would admit something like this. Okay? So, because they don't admit it, people think it's not happening. But it's happening. It's happening all over the world. Okay? And that's why I make these videos, because I speak to you, the animal abuser, user, exploiter, rapist. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do this to another species, and don't do it to a minor. Okay? It's the same as doing that to a minor. And even worse, because I don't know which one is, I don't know if it's worse, but the animal can die from that. Okay, so don't do it. Doing this to a minor, the minor body will not go into a toxic shock from that, because the body recognizes it as sperm, but the minor is not in a mating age. So it's not gonna go into the egg. But for the minor, it is a psychological shock, and it's also a physical shock, because rape is always a physical shock and a psychological shock. It can ruin that person for the rest of their lives. So my appeal is to you: don't do this. If you have those kind of fetishes or whatever, horse or child or whatever there, and it is massive in the world. This is massively happening. That's why I'm so worried about this. For anyone who's still living under a rock, this is massively happening worldwide. This is real serious. The child pornography, the child exploitation, animal exploitation, animal and child, particularly child and minor human trafficking, more than animal trafficking even done. But animal trafficking, that's animal abuse happening as well. But underaged mainly underage girls, but also underage boys are being trafficked. They are being held captive. They are being sold. They are being raped. They are being tortured and murdered. Okay, this is happening worldwide. Okay, this is a real serious problem. This is I don't know. This is a billion. This is a trillion or quadrillion dollar industry. You know, I'm not making this up. I'm speaking the truth here. Okay, that's why this is such a serious problem. It's a serious problem because there are so many people that have these type of fetishes, and this is a real serious problem for the whole world. And then there are other people that may not have the fetish, but that will be part of this organized crime because of the money involved. Okay, this is real serious what I'm talking about here. This has to come to an end. Okay? And I'm appealing to every single person to bring this to an end. So for anyone who has a fetish like this, get a robot. They have robots now. They make companion robots. They make animal robots. Okay. They can make you an animal horse sex robot. They can make you a child sex robot. Okay. That is not going to be traumatized by this. Or a sex robot horse that's not going to fall over dead from toxic shock. Okay. It's my appeal to the world. Okay. Don't make this taboo. We have to talk about this because this is a very serious problem in the world. Don't gaslight people that are talking about it. This is a serious problem. This is happening and it needs to be addressed. And the psychology behind this is very serious. This is real serious trauma, serious mental illness. This is a mind pathology that is behind that. That needs to be addressed. That needs to be healed. We need to fix this. We need to fix this at its core. That's where it starts with people that have fetishes. Where do these fetishes come from? They always come from something. Okay? The man with the horse, he had a couple of ponies that he rescued. There's less than 1% of people that will talk about this publicly. It's astonishing this guy even talked about this. They did a Vice documentary on this. It's only a fringe group that will even make a documentary about this. That's when Vice used to be very good with investigative journalism. That ended at some point because they got, I don't know, infiltrators in there, and they're using this now for political purposes or whatever. But they used to be good, and they used to make very revealing and very, very important documentaries that the world is supposed to see. Okay, like what happened in Fukushima, or with the horse raping and all of that. People need to know this is happening. Most people will not talk about it. They're too embarrassed to talk about this. But there's a tiny minority of people that will bring this up and will talk about it openly and say, yeah, well, this one guy, he explained it, and he speaks for all the other ones. And he said, well, it didn't work out with women. Okay, they're too problematic. They're too difficult. It's always ended up in a fight or something. He has this pony there, and the pony's always there for him. Always there, willing to to deal with that. Just because the animals they love us unconditional. They are not even. They won't do anything to object. And that's horrific. That's horrific. Betrayal of love and towards the animal, and to hurt the animal in that way, it's just unbelievably heartbreaking. My appeal is, do something about it. Try to heal this. If you have fetishes, you can get a robot. You can also get a love doll. You can get a stuffed animal. You can do something like that. You don't have to do this. Let this out on an innocent living being. Okay? Very, very important information that I'm giving you. There was another story in the Bible that I wanted to talk about, but the video is really, really long now. So maybe I'll do this another time. But anyway, take care.